Still on that jump. Hold on. Lawyer moves, lawyer moves. Checking in with you. Hold on, let me get it done. I'm coming right back.
well, but these were the main prosecutors dealing with that. And the Trump regime and Pam Bondi wanted them to criminally investigate the widow of Renee Nicole Good, to go after the widow and to not investigate the officer, the rogue ICE agent Jonathan Ross, who killed Renee Nicole Good. At the same time, there were 6 resignations in Minnesota of the top federal prosecutors there. You had at least 4 or 5 major resignations from the Civil Rights Division in Main Justice in Washington, D.C., because they were ordered by Pam Bondi not to investigate the killer of Renee Nicole Good, but again, to go after the widow of Renee Nicole Good. Horrific. Now, the total of resignations at the DOJ is now around 3,000. 3,000. Last month, that number was 2,900 attorneys. Brad Heath was the one who reported that story. More than 2,900 attorneys quit the Justice Department or were fired during the first 10 months of this year. About triple the number who depart in a typical year. That was just during 10 months. Quit the Justice Department. Extrapolating further, that number seems to be closer to 3,000, maybe even more. But the key federal prosecutors in Minnesota now, Pam Bondi, having this complete and utter public meltdown. She, of course, went on Hannity to start crying. Of course, she goes to state regime media where she cries and whines and says, can you believe that these prosecutors were interviewing at liberal law firms? And I told them, they said, I quit. And I said, you don't quit, you're fired, and you don't get your benefits. If you don't want to investigate the widow of Renee Nicole Good, I fired. They quit, Pam Bondi. They said, bye-bye. We don't want to be a part of your piece of trash, DOJ. Your utter embarrassment, your child sex trafficking. Pam Bondi, you've turned the DOJ into a racketeering enterprise for the purpose of covering up child sex trafficking. You should be disgusted with yourself, Pam Bondi, but there you are on Hannity. Are you crying, Pam Bondi? Let me show everybody what went down here when Pam Bondi had a breakdown. Honestly, was she crying on public TV? Well, live here, play this clip.
What happened in Minnesota? We had 6 prosecutors who suddenly decided they didn't want to support the men and women in ICE. One of them was busy doing a photo shoot with the New York Times while ICE was out there risking their lives. So they came, they said, we want to resign, but we want to use our annual leave up until April, meaning they wanted the taxpayers to pay for them to go on vacation because they decided they didn't want to support law enforcement. So the breaking news tonight, I fired them all. They're fired from the office, and our U.S. attorney there, Rosen, he's great. He was just confirmed 3 months ago. So he has his hands full, and that's what we're facing around the country, the deep state, in many of these offices. And we learned these people have been out there interviewing at liberal law firms prior to this. But I'll tell you what, from a personnel level, they'd be an HR nightmare. So people better look into them. One of them actually in 2022 defended BLM when they burned down a pawn shop and someone was murdered. Yeah, they want to be part of the resistance. Yeah, bring it on. They're not going to be working for Donald Trump and the Department of Justice any longer. But that's what we're up against, not only in Minnesota, but around this country.
Oh my God. And just to remind you, some of the top prosecutors who quit there, you're talking about the main deputy and all of their line prosecutors, then from the DOJ main justice, you're talking about all the top people there as well. I was going to bring you this because the mayor of Minneapolis, Mayor Fry, said to the
all these people quit.
Fox host was trying to cross-examine him about, well, what do you think about this, that, and the other?
Now in Ryan Nobles in Washington. The Trump administration is plunging American politics, the legal system, and the economy into uncharted waters. Opening a criminal investigation into Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell as President Trump tries to exert control over the independent central bank with Americans souring on his handling of the economy ahead of the midterms. The Fed chair announcing late yesterday that the Justice Department subpoenaed the agency on Friday as part of an investigation into testimony he gave to Congress last year about renovations to the Federal Reserve's headquarters, which have run hundreds of millions of dollars over budget. Defiant Powell pushing back against any allegations of wrongdoing and accusing the Trump administration of an attempted shakedown.
I have deep respect for the rule of law and for accountability in our democracy. No one, certainly not the chair of the Federal Reserve, is above the law. But this unprecedented action should be seen in the broader context of the administration's threats and ongoing pressure. This new threat is not about my testimony last June or about the renovation of the Federal Reserve buildings. The threat of criminal charges is a consequence of the Federal Reserve setting interest rates based on our best assessment of what will serve the public, rather than following the preferences of the president.
President Trump criticizing Powell and denying he had any knowledge of the investigation in an exclusive interview with NBC News, telling my colleague Garrett Haight, I don't know anything about the DOJ's investigation into the Federal Reserve. He's certainly not very good at the Fed, and he's not very good at building buildings. The president, however, has made it abundantly clear that he believes Powell should be investigated, even threatening civil litigation against him just 2 weeks ago.
We're thinking about bringing a suit against Powell for incompetence. Because think of it, these aren't outstanding buildings, these are small buildings. So we're thinking about bringing a gross incompetence, what's called.
He's at it again. See,
Against Powell.
Trump, this message is. Ew, what is the message?
He's just very incompetent.
Oh, hello.
Now, at the moment, one
Show.
appear to shrug off the news of the Powell investigation. The markets closed up on the day. The S&P
Hello.
10%. But on Capitol Hill, the news has generated notable pushback among Republicans in both
Bring
chambers.
you up there. First message of the day. Hello. You here with Loyal Moves? You here with Loyal Moves? We're gonna wait. Let it get. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit them like button. What is former Fed chairs? All these people said, fuck this, I resign. Independent. Bread. Some bread. Oh, it's my soul. Hello.
NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung, NBC News senior justice reporter Ryan Riley, and NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Jim Circle.
Let's start with
Monica Alba. Monica, President Trump told NBC that he doesn't know anything about the Justice Department's federal subpoena.
shit. I ain't made it.
Well, this is really an extraordinary escalation, Brian. Certainly one that the White House, from a legal perspective, is deferring specific questions to the Department of Justice, not wanting to weigh in on the specifics related to these subpoenas and to this probe in particular, but they are amplifying and repeating claims you have heard from President Trump repeatedly about the fact that they simply believe that the Fed chair is not good at his job. They have put this pretty plainly. You have seen this feud really grow between the president and the Fed chair, and even a few months ago when they toured the site of that renovation project at the headquarters there, you saw sort of public fact-checking from Jerome Powell of President Trump's own comments in real time. So we've seen this back and forth. And the White House today is putting it this way. Here's what the White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt had to say about the latest developments.
Look, the president has every right to criticize the Fed chair. He is the First Amendment right, just like all of you do. And one thing for sure, the president's made it quite clear is Jerome Powell is bad at his job. As for whether or not Jerome Powell is a criminal, that's an answer the Department of Justice is going to have to find out. And it looks like they intend to find that out.
Now, the president has repeatedly said things like he wishes that he could fire Jerome Powell. He would need cause in order to do that, Ryan, and that is critical and important here because it relates to another case that's ongoing when you talk about Lisa Cook, who is a current governor on the Federal Reserve Board. And remember that, again, this is something the president can talk about, but then he has said for some time he was going to let Powell finish out his term, which technically is up in a
Fed has been at the heart of President Trump's focus, I should say, on affordability over the past month or so. What other actions has the president taken over that time?
Yeah, and I'm told by senior White House officials that this is something you're going to hear the president talk more about. In particular, tomorrow he's headed to Michigan, where he's going to talk about some of these examples and perhaps indicate where there could be more proposals coming. We have heard him talk about several things when it comes to housing, when it comes to potential limits for credit card interest rates. Also, you've heard the president talk about things like proposing a ban on investors for buying single-family homes. He has certainly continued his pressure campaign on the Fed to lower borrowing rates, and he has also talked about price fixing when it comes to the food chain, and he has repeatedly touted certain deals with drug makers to lower the cost of prescription drug prices, even though we haven't seen the specifics on some of the deals that have been announced publicly, and really when he's had events here from the White House saying this is going to happen, but consumers and the American people haven't necessarily felt the effects of that yet, but the White House is trying to lean in and say that they will soon enough. You can certainly expect more on that affordability message, which the president sometimes dismisses, but which senior White House officials say he does need to be talking about more and more ahead of the midterms.
All right, Monica, thank you for that. Let's turn now to Brian Chung. Brian, how unprecedented or unusual is it for Jerome Powell to be this outspoken and defiant, posting a message on social media on a Sunday night? We really don't hear from the Fed chairman on a Sunday night.
No, not at all. Usually, that is a moment of crisis if they're doing that. Now, I do want to point out we are not in an economic crisis right now, but this is certainly a political crisis for the Federal Reserve, which I've been following for almost 10 years now. I have never seen an escalation to this point where you have a president who has been quarreling with his own Fed chair appointee, essentially since nominating him during his first term in 2017. We've seen plenty of John. We've seen the president say that he would prefer that the Federal Reserve lower interest rates more aggressively than Powell actually has followed through on. And we have not seen the president threaten a criminal complaint against him. And that is exactly where we find ourselves today. Now, again, what the Department of Justice finds is unknown. In fact, we haven't even seen the subpoena, so it's been unclear over exactly what the Department of Justice wants to look into here. But again, all of those that have the economics community, and those that follow the Federal Reserve very closely, have seen this as a five-alarm fire. The threatening of trying to essentially jail the Federal Reserve chair is a threat to the central bank independence we have not seen before. But as you point out, the markets haven't really done all that much. I do want to point out the S&P 500 rose 10 points to close the day, not 10%, but rose 10 points today to end the day. That is essentially zero, not very much of a notable move there. But again, I think markets are saying we're not sure that DOJ is actually going to determine any stone that would lead to the Fed chair going to jail, but it is nonetheless part of the erosion that we've seen over this administration of central banking.
Independence has been so important, but the president does have
Central banking.
Of the Fed board. How does that work?
Fed
Yeah,
board.
absolutely. So again, the Federal Reserve operates independently.
Federal
but the
Reserve.
people serving on that Federal Reserve board are all appointees from the president. Now, of course, vetted and confirmed by the Senate, but the president does have the ability to announce a replacement, which kind of adds to the confusion over this story, because the president could have just simply waited until May, when Jerome Powell's term as the Fed chair ends, to simply name a new person and put his own preferred financier at the top of this central bank. So again, once we get to May, Jerome Powell's tenure will end at the Federal Reserve. The question is who will replace him. That's something and a decision that fully rests in the power of the president.
And to be clear here, the Federal Reserve does not receive or spend any taxpayer money, correct? Where does their money for their budget come from?
Yeah, and the reason why we're paying attention to this is because, again, we have not seen the subpoena from the DOJ, but the argument from the president that we've seen over the past few months has been the Federal Reserve's expenditures on this multi-billion-dollar project to renovate the building that you see on your screen ahead of you. That is the Eccles Building on Constitution Ave down in Washington, D.C. It is a historical landmark. The Federal Reserve is undergoing a multi-billion-dollar project to renovate that, which the president has said is an amount of money that they simply didn't need to spend for that project. That's the reason why you heard the president say that he's not very good, referring to Jay Powell, at building buildings. But I do want to point out, again, the money being used to build that is not coming from taxpayer money. The Federal Reserve is entirely self-funded from proceeds that they earn from their own securities, as well as fees that they get from banks. So it is not taxpayer money on the line.
Okay, Brian Chung, thank you for that. Let's turn now to Ryan Riley, who's in studio with me now. So Ryan, the Justice Department says they're not going to comment on an ongoing investigation, but what potential charges could Jerome Powell face? haven't seen the subpoena, so we don't really know. But I also don't know if this is necessarily news that DOJ is really hesitant to have out there, right? Because they have used the existence of these investigations for political purposes, and obviously we've seen Donald Trump direct these prosecutions in many cases. In fact, that we have NBC News' reporter was supposed to be a private message that he sent to Pam Bondi that laid out all the enemies that he wanted Bondi to go after. So that's something that has played a component here. Donald Trump sort of weaponizing the existence of the investigation, regardless of whether or not how those investigations end for political purposes here. And there's the possibility that you would say the firing for cause down the line would be because of an existence of an investigation. So that's one method that he could potentially theoretically try to use to get rid of power. And there's some disputes about right having that power to fire likely would have to come from the board side. Now, we've got James Comey. We've had a number of different examples of this Department of Justice trying to go after Donald Trump's political enemies. Not many of them have gained any traction. Is there any reason to think that this would be?
No, they didn't gain no traction.
That's a great question. I think one thing that the Justice Department has been, or Trump administration has been looking very closely at is where else they can bring cases, because I would not suspect that an organization in DC would necessarily.
You're everything to me.
Cases before and are aware of the political environment. Cases,
You're everything I need.
And not facts in the law. So I think that
You're everything to me.
it happened in EDVA as well. It happened in the Eastern District of Virginia, where certain countries have rejected these cases. They don't have a bunch of prosecutors.
Slam. Dun, dun, dun.
To Capitol Hill and Julie Sirkin.
Let the boys, boy.
Senate Republicans and even the chair of the House.
There's another one and another one.
Republican leadership saying about the Justice Department investigation.
Well, Speaker Johnson, Ryan, came into the building today saying that he didn't really have a chance to look over the allegations, the specific indictment. Of course, we haven't seen a lot of this too. I want you to take a listen to what he said later in the day, and we'll talk about what we heard from Senate leadership on the other side.
There's concern about cost overruns and whatever the allegations are. I don't know. I wasn't involved in that. It's something that you have to look into, and so we'll have to reserve judgment. I know the media loves to jump to conclusions. Everyone does every day around everything here, and I think you have to let the process play out. If Chairman Powell's innocent, then you can prove that, and it'll come out.
Slightly different tone, Ryan. I heard from Senate Majority Leader John Thune when he walked into the Capitol scurrying past us. He simply said the allegations better be real and they better be serious. Afterwards, I followed up and I asked him, is he worried about more Republicans following Senator Tom Tillis' lead, essentially holding out their votes to confirm members of the Federal Reserve, even the chair potentially when Powell's position is up in that term in a couple of months? And he said he is. He spoke to Tillis over the weekend, and he said that this needs to be resolved quickly to maintain the independence of the Federal Reserve. So certainly more pushback than we're used to seeing on different matters throughout this first year of the second Trump administration, Ryan.
And let's dive a little deeper into that pushback. Tom Tillis right now, the only Senate Republican who's physically threatened not to confirm any Fed nominee until the matter is resolved. But we have seen some other movement.
Now they fucking with the Federal Reserve. Them people pissed like shit. Like, fuck this, I quit. I resign.
Lisa Murkowski, the senator from Alaska, she is not on the banking committee, so she doesn't have a role on that panel directly.
Chills threatened to block Fed. I fucking with people money and some shit. They fucking with each other money now. Y'all fucking with each other money. Time to come in and sell y'all something. These rich people about to spend money trying to sell their ass something, man. Trying to sell y'all. So what y'all want to buy? These rich motherfuckers. What y'all rich, meaty? What do y'all want? Y'all got everything. So what y'all want to buy?
Okay, Julie Sirkin.
Hold on.
Julie, thank you for that. We're going to turn now to former Federal Reserve General Counsel Scott Elliott.
Hey, they fuck with the Federal Reserve and shit. Them people at the Federal Reserve like, fuck this, I quit. I'm tired. I'm not going through this. They want me to do some illegal shit. I'm not done with it. They got the fuck up out of that Federal Reserve. They like, fuck this. Hey, lady, like, you're fired. You can't resign. They're like, well, fuck it. I'll fire me then. That's fucked up. This world became a different thing that you never seen before. World crazy as shit. World backwards, crazy. Don't make no motherfucking sense. What is your world don't make no sense out here. The, they fuck with the banks now, y'all. The banks been fuck with y'all. Hey, you better get your shit up out of that bank. You fuck with the banks. What do we do now? If they fucking with the banks, man, what do you do? They're like, man, oh, what it was one up being talk about bad. I don't know. See, white people understand that they human now. Y'all just like us. We go through the same shit. We just go through it worse. What's this? Melted gold. Melted gold. Melted gold and silver. You know what?
Let's talk more about this issue.
I don't want to fuck with that right now. They gonna it had the music, right? But they gonna say, oh no, it's a copy. That ain't no copyright, man. Shit straight off of Instagram, bro. How the hell is that a copyright? That's off of Instagram. Girl, they just be, they don't want you to do nothing. You become big. You know what I'm saying? They don't want you to become big. What's these?
In this video, we're going to explore the 9 most popular advanced filament types that you can print with in your at-home 3D printer to understand their
I ain't fucking with you today, bro. It's silly of me to try.
Good evening and welcome to the weeknight. I'm Elise Menendez with Simone Sanders Thompson and Michael Steele. Tonight, Minneapolis. This is a channel that makes over $55,000 a month posting videos like these. So the question is, can AI build me a channel just like this? Spoiler alert, it already did. I created the entire thing in 11 minutes using AI only. No filming, no fancy equipment, and I'm about to show you exactly how you could do the same. Now, of course, the very first step for us to do this is going to be to find a story to cover, and not just any story. We need something that's trending. The fastest way to do this is going to be to go over to Google News, and then we want to grab a hot story for this video. There are many to choose from, but I'm going to just go with this one for the sake of today's video. Now, step 2 is going to be for us to turn this headline into a script. When it comes to creating videos, most people will just copy and paste these articles, but that's a big mistake. What you really want want to do is use something like ChatGPT, which is free, to take this article and rewrite it into a fresh script. This is what helps to make this original, which